Please, ma'am.
My name is Charly, Charly Castelbuono, Castelbuono.
And Agent Castelbuono, how are you employed?
I'm employed at the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation.
And what do you do there?
I'm a special agent forensic scientist in the forensic biology unit.
All right, so we have heard from one forensic biology unit person. What do you do in the forensic biology unit?
So same as the last analyst who testified, I process evidence looking for the presence of body fluids such as blood, semen, and saliva, and then take those items through the DNA testing process to generate DNA profiles, which can then be compared to DNA from known individuals.
And what is your education and experience background to allow you to do that?
I have a Bachelor of Science in Biology from Berry College. I also have a Master of Science in Forensic Science from the University of Central Florida. At the TBI, I received about a year of training, first observing a qualified analyst, performing analysis on evidence and DNA testing, then performing those tests myself under their supervision. I gave several oral presentations during that time. I also received a mock case and went through a mock trial, which I had to pass in order to start doing casework independently. Additionally, we have to have at least 8 hours of continuing education every year. I'm also certified by the American Board of Criminalistics in molecular biology.
And Agent Castelbuono, have you testified in the courts of Tennessee as an expert before?
Yes, I have.
In what areas?
In what?
Area, was it serology and DNA analysis?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, we would tender Agent Castelbuono an expert in serology and DNA analysis.
Is he qualified as an expert in serology and microanalysis?
DNA analysis, Your Honor, yes, sir.
Let me try that again. DNA analysis, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm going to hand you a report, Agent Castelbuono. And what was the date that report was issued?
February 6th of 2019.
I'm going to try to have it up on the screen so everybody can kind of follow along. I made a train wreck out of it last time, so I'll try to do better this time. What were you testing in this report?
There were several items. There was a pair of boots, an additional cowboy boot, a plaid shirt, a rain boot, a pair of boys' underwear, and a pacifier.
All right, and with these items, were you trying to find a DNA standard of the victim, Joe Clyde Daniels?
Yes, that was the purpose of testing these items.
And where did the comparison profile come from? Or was there one?
There was not one.
And that's what we were trying to obtain?
Correct.
And what was, looks like, judging from the results, everything that was tested came up a mixture of DNA and inconclusive.
That's correct.
Your Honor, we'd ask to make that the next exhibit.
221.
And this next report is from February the 4th of 2019. Agent Castelbuono, is that your complete report from February the 4th of 2019?
Yes, it is.
And what were we looking at, or what were you testing for in this report?
There were 2 pillows from the bedroom that I tested.
And those were exhibits 29A and 30A, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the comparison against which you were testing it was exhibit 10A. Was that DNA from the defendant, Joseph Daniels?
That's correct.
Okay. And what were your results as far as 29A?
So there were multiple stains that were tested. There were 2 stains on exhibit 29A. Both stains tested positive for the presence of blood. And for this first stain, it was a mixture of at least 2 individuals. The major contributor profile is consistent with exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels. Due to the limited minor contributor profile obtained, interpretation of the minor contributor profile is deemed to be inconclusive. And for stain number 2, the DNA profile obtained from that matched exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels.
All right, and let me ask you just well, this is from, I believe I said 2/4 earlier. It's from February 14th. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What are you talking about, a stain? When you tested a stain, what are you testing?
So the 2 stains I tested, they tested positive for blood.
And is that just a stain you see on a visual inspection of the item?
Correct. So when I examine an item, if I'm looking for blood, I'll look for a reddish-brown stain that's characteristic of a dried blood stain.
So on that pillow, you found the defendant's blood.
Correct.
All right, and on 30A, was anything found on that?
Yes. 30A had multiple stained areas. There were 10 total that I tested. For stains 1, 2, and 3, presumptive chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. And for stain 6, presumptive chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. However, presumptive immunological testing did not indicate the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood. And then for stains 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and 10, presumptive chemical testing indicated the presence of blood. Presumptive immunological testing for the presence of human hemoglobin, a component of human blood, was not performed due to a limited sample. As far as the DNA results, for stain number 1, the DNA profile obtained is consistent with the mixture of at least 2 individuals. The major contributor profile matches Exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels, and the limited minor contributor profile was inconclusive. For stains 2, 4, 6, 7, 9, and 10, the DNA profile obtained matched Exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels. For stain number 3, the DNA profile obtained is consistent with Exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels. And finally, stains 5 and 8, the DNA profile obtained was consistent with the mixture of at least 2 individuals, with the major contributor profile being consistent with Exhibit 10A, Joseph Daniels, and the limited minor contributor profile was inconclusive for that profile.
So out of all of that, if you kind of deduce it down a little bit, you tested 10 stains.
Yes.
And Mr. Daniels' DNA was found to be on all of those stains.
Correct.
And then there were some mixtures where there were some other individuals' DNA in that as well.
Yes.
And the stains, many of those were blood stains from Mr. Daniels.
These all tested positive for the presence of blood, yes.
Your Honor, we'd ask to make that the next exhibit, please.
Exhibit 222.
Agent Castelbuono, is this your report from February the 15th of 2019?
Yes, it is.
All right, we spoke a moment ago that you were trying to find a DNA standard of the victim, Joe Clyde Daniels. And now it appears that one was obtained. Is that correct?
So this was a sample, again, attempting to obtain a profile. Based on the nature of this sample, I can't 100% say that, yes, this came from Joe Clyde Daniels, but again, that was the purpose of the sample.
All right, and this was a DNA extract from Vanderbilt. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. And this DNA extract from Vanderbilt was compared to the wooden-handled shovel that is Exhibit 20A.
Yes.
All right, and tell us what your results found.
For the handle from the shovel, the DNA profile previously obtained was consistent with a mixture of at least 3 individuals. The major contributor profile is from an unknown male number 1. Therefore, exhibit number 37A, DNA extract from Vanderbilt Medical Center, can be excluded as the major contributor. And due to the limited minor contributor profile obtained, interpretation of the minor contributor profile is deemed to be inconclusive.
So this wooden-handled shovel, Exhibit 20A, had at least 3 people's DNA on it.
Yes.
And we know that this DNA extract from Vanderbilt was not the major contributor.
That's correct.
But we don't know whether or not it could have been the minor contributor.
Correct, because the minor contributor was inconclusive.
All right. We'd ask to make that the next exhibit, Your Honor.
Exhibit 23.
And last one, Agent Castelbuono. I believe this is a report from May the 27th of this year, not very long ago.
Yes.
And what were you testing in this report?
I swabbed an area inside of a Chevrolet Impala. Specifically, I swabbed the back of the front passenger seat and then performed DNA analysis on that swab.
And Ms. Lewis, can I have Exhibit 206, please?
What is it?
It's a picture.
Okay.
I apologize. I should have prepared you for that.
By the way, I know what I'm doing.
hand you what's been marked Exhibit 206. Is that the area of the back seat of the red Impala that you were testing?
Yes, it is.
All right, and would you show that picture to the jury, please? And do you recall about where you were taking samples from, or swabs from?
I swabbed around this area, that whitish.
All right, thank you, Agent Castelbuono. And whose DNA was that found to be?
The partial DNA profile obtained is consistent with Exhibit 23A, Alex Nolan.
And is this the picture that we just showed to the jury?
Yes, it is.
So those, you said the white spots up there is what was swabbed for testing?
Yes, sort of the curved area towards the top of the seat.
So you're talking about right here?
Like the curved stained area.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's the area that was swabbed for testing?
Yes.
And that was determined to be the DNA of Alex Nolan?
Yes.
All right, Your Honor, we'd ask to make that the next exhibit.
Would be 224.
Who would pass the witness?
Mitchell?
May I approach witness, Your Honor? Agent Castelbuono, do you recognize that image?
This appears to be the same pillow, my Exhibit 30A that I tested for blood.
Your Honor, I'd ask that be moved in as an exhibit, the next in line. I'm
Can
not
we see
able
the
to
photo first, please?
You may.
This would be 225, and this is the photograph of the pillow that was tested.
Yes, Your Honor. And I'd ask it be published to the jury. That photo is the pillow that had a bunch of stains on it that belonged to Mr. Daniels.
Yes.
Okay. In one of the forensic biology reports that you put together, you say that there was a sample extracted from Vanderbilt.
Yes.
You're not saying you know who that belongs to.
Correct. Because it was from a hospital, I don't know how it was generated. I don't obviously have chain of custody or, other than the name written on the side of the tube. It wasn't collected as evidence. So as far as where it was before it came into my possession, I can't
You can't
verify that.
But even with that, you compared that to the DNA found on the wooden handled shovel, and it was excluded as a major contributor.
That's correct.
And you weren't able to determine that it was one of the minor contributors.
Correct. The minor contributors were inconclusive.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Read it right.
Just briefly, Judge. So the sample from Vanderbilt was taken when we were trying to find DNA from the victim, Joe Clyde Daniels.
Correct.
And was his name on the side of the tube?
It was.
Now, you can't verify that it was him specifically.
But that name was on the tube, yes.
Okay. And one more, or maybe a couple more questions about the DNA from the back seat that we referred to in the 52721 report. That was not blood DNA, or not blood on the seat?
Correct.
Are you able to tell what it was?
I'm not, other than it appeared to be a white, sort of crusty stain.
Okay. And I believe you testified earlier that you're looking for blood, saliva, that kind of thing?
Yes.
And saliva also contains DNA.
Yes.
So if someone were to sneeze from the back seat and get it all over the front seat, DNA is in that.
Yes.
All right. That's all, Your Honor.
Recross?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down and you're released from your subpoena.